Indian media has been on an unrelenting mission to persuade its citizens, and perhaps the world, that India is the apple of America's eye, particularly under Trump's presidency. They've crafted a glowing narrative of Modi and Trump as inseparable allies, with India-U.S. relations poised to soar to unprecedented heights. But let's cut through the hype and examine the facts. The truth is, Trump doesn't prioritize India. In fact, he's been too preoccupied with threatening and criticizing India, along with other Brics nations, to even acknowledge their significance. Yet, Indian media persists in living in a delusional bubble where India is the center of Trump's universe. Spoiler alert, it's not. Let's begin with Trump's latest social media outburst, where he essentially told Brics nations, including India, to find another sucker if they think they can move away from the US dollar. That's the level of respect India receives from the so-called pro-India president. Trump's message couldn't have been clearer. If Brics countries dare to create a new currency or abandon the dollar, they'll face 100% tariffs. And he didn't mince words. He emphasized that the US dollar isn't going anywhere, and any challenge to its dominance will be met with severe economic consequences. Feel free to pause and read it for yourself. Yet, Indian media will likely twist this as a friendly warning, or frame it as some strategic partnership maneuver. Classic spin, as usual. Now, let's talk about India's role in Brics. As a founding member, India is excelling at being the weakest link. While other Brics nations like Russia and China are actively pushing for de-dollarization and exploring alternatives to the US-dominated financial system, India is busy playing both sides. On one hand, it's part of Brics, and on the other, it's clinging to the dollar as if it's a lifeline. It's almost laughable how India tries to position itself as a key player in Brics, while simultaneously undermining the group's collective efforts. If Brics were a team, India would be that player who shows up late, ignores the game plan, and then wonders why no one passes them the ball. Shashi Tharoor, the Congress MP, attempted to downplay Trump's threats by dismissing them as empty. According to him, there's no real plan to move away from the dollar, so India has nothing to worry about. Well, Mr. Tharoor, it might be time to wake up and smell the coffee. Trump isn't exactly known for making idle threats. Just look at what happened with Canada, Mexico, and China. He promised tariffs, and on February 1st, he delivered. If India thinks it's immune to Trump's wrath, it's in for a rude awakening. The man doesn't bluff, and he certainly doesn't care about India's feelings. Let's not overlook how India has been steadily losing its relevance within Brics. While other member nations are actively working to reduce their reliance on the dollar, India is busy cozying up to the US. It's like joining a rebellion but secretly texting the enemy. Russia and China are spearheading the push for de-dollarization, and even smaller members like Iran and South Africa are fully on board. But India seems stuck in limbo, still trying to figure out which side it's on. This double game isn't sustainable and won't end well. Sooner or later, Brics will come to see India as more of a liability than an asset. India has already taken advantage of Russia's situation, paying for Russian oil in Indian rupees, a currency that's essentially useless to Russia. One can only imagine Putin staring at a pile of rupees, scratching his head, and wondering what to do with them. This kind of maneuvering might benefit India in the short term, but it's hardly a strategy that builds trust or strengthens alliances in the long run. Let's take a moment to talk about Trump's tariffs. He's already slapped 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico, and he's far from done. If India thinks it's immune to his economic crackdown, it's fooling itself. Trump isn't swayed by Modi's so-called personal relationship with him. If India crosses the line, it'll get the same treatment as everyone else. The Indian media can keep spinning their optimistic narratives, but the truth is clear. Trump views India as just another country attempting to challenge US dominance, and he won't stand for it. The outside looking in, both in Brics and on the global stage. The irony here is that India's own actions are rendering it increasingly irrelevant, both within Brics and on the global stage. By hesitating to fully commit to Brics' de-dollarization efforts, India is effectively isolating itself from the group. Meanwhile, its attempts to cozy up to the US as a best friend are setting it up for inevitable disappointment. Let's be clear, Trump doesn't deal in friendships. He deals in transactions. If India stops being useful to him, he'll discard it without a second thought. So, where does this leave India? Stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's too cautious to fully align with Brics, yet too naive to recognize that the US doesn't view it as an equal partner. The Indian media can keep romanticizing this so-called special relationship with the US, but the reality is staring them in the face. Trump's threats are real, and India's standing in Brics is precarious at best. If India doesn't rethink its strategy soon, it risks being left on the sidelines, both within Brics and in the broader global arena. Now, let's delve deeper into the broader implications of Trump's threats and India's precarious position. The dominance of the US dollar in global trade is not merely a matter of economic convenience. It is a powerful tool of geopolitical influence. By controlling the world's primary reserve currency, the US can enforce sanctions, shape international trade, and exert significant pressure on other nations. This is precisely why Brics countries have been actively exploring alternatives. Proposals for a common Brics currency or the increased use of national currencies in trade settlements represent a direct challenge to this US-dominated system. However, India, true to its cautious approach, has been hesitant to fully embrace this vision. India's reluctance goes beyond economic considerations. It reflects its broader geopolitical strategy. For years, India has sought to position itself as a bridge between the East and the West. But this balancing act is becoming increasingly difficult to sustain. As the world grows more polarized, nations are being forced to take sides, and India's attempts to straddle both camps are making it appear indecisive and unreliable. This is particularly evident in its relationships with Russia and the US. While India continues to purchase Russian oil, it simultaneously strives to maintain close ties with the US. Such a dual approach may have been feasible in the past, but in today's highly charged geopolitical environment, it risks backfiring and could lead to significant consequences. Moreover, India's domestic challenges are adding another layer of complexity to its international position. The country is currently grappling with deep economic inequality, widespread social unrest, and an increasingly authoritarian trend under Modi's government. These issues are not just internal struggles. They have a direct impact on India's global reputation. A nation that struggles to address its own domestic problems is unlikely to be viewed as a reliable or stable partner on the world stage. This is especially significant in the context of Brics, where member nations are seeking strong, dependable allies to challenge US dominance. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.